a song called The Drink, Drink, Drink from the Student Prince, which was sung by Mario Lanza. And I matched it with Li Bai's 将进酒, which is very, very famous. Most of people have heard of it, but it's quite long. So I would bet that not too many could remember the whole thing, including me. But there are many memorable verses or stanzas or lines, yes. And then I would talk about Italian reunification and the Prohibition. Okay, let's start with this vocabulary. I'm going to rush because I just practiced a little bit and it'll take me hours and hours to finish. So I'm sure I can't finish if I don't hurry up. Okay, so you already got this whole list. So I am not going to go through the list as it is on this slide because I'm going to go through the whole list one by one in the following slides. Before I start with the vocabulary, I'm going to talk about this woman whose name is Zhang Rong. And since she lived in England for a long time, most people would call her Rong Zhang instead of Zhang Rong. And she was born in 1952, so she's probably about our age, a little younger than I am. She's 68. She's a British writer now living in London, best known for her family autobiography, Wild Swans, selling over 10 million copies. That's very respectable worldwide, but banned in the People's Republic of China. So her books cannot be sold or read in China, and she could not go back to visit China. They would not issue a visa. Here's a list, very short list. She wrote 5 books, including a very recent one last year. The first one, before she got famous, the first one was 1986. It was Madame Sun Yat-sen, Song Qingling's biography. Then her second book was a runaway bestseller called Wild Swans, with a subtitle called The 3 Daughters of China. It is a story about her grandmother, her mother, and herself. That's why it's called The 3 Daughters of China. And it's in Chinese, it's called 红三代中国女性的故事. And it became very, very popular because it's a great book. I wish you would read it, but it's so long. Yeah, it took a long time to read that book. But after that, you would gain such respect for her scholarship and the writing skills and so on and so forth. She told the whole story of maybe close to 100 years very carefully, and I would say very objectively. That is, to be in a position that is not biased. If you say biased, that means you 偏差, bias. I think she is not biased, even though her parents were both high officials in the Chinese Communist Party. They were really, really hardcore communist officials, and they went with Mao Zedong to Yan'an, Shanxi, Yan'an, after the long march, and they worked really, really hard, and they were loyal and devoted to Mao Zedong. However, all that was shattered with the coming of Cultural Revolution, and they were really purged severely, physically and mentally, and they became disillusioned. That's why her next book is a biography of Mao Zedong. And I could not finish that book. Each of her books were so long, but this book, from the very beginning, she showed that Mao Zedong is a very unsavory character, very bad person. He cheats and he lies and so on and so forth. He was ruthless and he killed so many people and he, whatever. If you want to know a real communist, loyalist view of Mao Zedong, you should read that book. And then Empress Dowager Cixi, that's the book I read. That is also a very, very long book with exquisite scholarship. She did such research, and it was an eye-opener for me. I'm sure it'll be for you as well, because if we went to school in Taiwan at all, the one thing we learned was Cixi was a horrible person. But this book would show you what a wonderful person she was, and so capable, and she did so much, and all the lies that people tell about her. Okay, then she wrote the last book, which was very recent. It's about the three sisters of the Song family. So she's really into recent Chinese history and a very respected historian. Okay. We start the list of vocabulary with the peninsula. I was trying to give you a map of a peninsula, and voila, I got this map, which is the entire continent of Europe. And Europe is a huge example of peninsula, the largest peninsula in the world, probably. Every country in Europe is on this peninsula. Isn't that funny? And on the other hand, we have the isthmus. Isthmus is a 地峡. So you have on this map, Panama in Central America, which is the narrowest part of this entire strip of land. So an isthmus is a strip of land in between two big seas, two large bodies of water. In this case, you have Atlantic Ocean on the east or northeast side, and the Pacific Ocean on the west and the south side. And here's another example of isthmus. And isthmus is by definition a place where you would like to put a canal on it, because it is so economically a good plan to have a canal on it, so that you can save all the trouble of going around the whole continent. Here is in Egypt, between the Red Sea and the Mediterranean Sea, 就是红海跟地中海之间的这一条所谓苏伊士地峡. That's right to the right of Cairo and near Alexandria. That's where the Suez Canal was built. It was built by a Frenchman, 我们叫 Lesseps, Lesseps, that's the name. And he built it because of at that time, French, it's a French colony. Maybe not in name, it's probably, it is, yeah. It was not a French colony in name, but in fact, France and the British both had huge stake in this land, even though nominally it belongs to the Turkish Empire. And after 1918, the Turkish Empire collapsed, so it became shared by French and British government. Okay, let's not talk too much about it. Then this is a word called the continent. And this is a picture I showed you with the 7 continents. In the beginning, we would say the world has 5 continents. Then we added 6, 7. Yeah. So the last one added was the blue one, which is Antarctica. Antarctica is 南极洲. you can see that it's at the very bottom of the earth, of the globe. And the closest place would be Chile and Argentina. You can see on the upper left-hand side, while the other land masses that are close to Antarctica are pretty far away, farther than Chile and Argentina. You have here you have South Africa and Australia and New Zealand. They were all pretty far away, but this is the closest, which is still quite far away. It'll take you a long time to go on the ship across to this peninsula of the Antarctica. I was going to say 1 or 2 days, yeah. So this is a map. We usually draw a map like this instead of this way as you look at it from the bottom. But most of the maps are like this. And you can see here is Argentina and Chile, and their boundary goes like this, from here to here and then here. So the closest part would be from Chile. However, the biggest city here is Ushuaia, which is belongs to Argentina. So you see, how about the North Pole? Isn't there a continent there? No, there's nothing. This is the North Pole with nothing but water around North Pole. So you have Canada, Greenland, Sweden, and Russia, and yeah. This entire area is Russia. So that is it. Now there are 2 parallels. This is the 75th parallel, and this is the 60th parallel. All these 所谓的不是纬度，是纬度，yeah， 纬度longitude. Not altitude, platitude. I guess it's platitude. Anyway, as far as this parallels are concerned, we are here. We are out of this. We're at 46 or 47 here. Okay. And here I said, when I went to British Museum, I want to take a picture of the Rosetta Stone, but I do not have the right equipment, which is a polarized lens, 叫做偏光镜. There are light waves bouncing in all kinds of direction. So everything is reflecting around. So you cannot take a good picture if there are too many light sources. So you would put something that is like this screen. It's a grid, a kind of lens on your camera that would filter all the lights. Only light in a certain direction can easily pass through it, so you can see only that light, and all the other lights from other directions were filtered out. So after this lens, you only see this light wave passing through. So you would be able to filter out other light and take a clear picture, even though there is a glass reflecting all kinds of things on it. So for me to take a good picture of something behind a glass, I need a polarized lens, which I did not have. Then this is a word about a pictograph. We were talking about hieroglyphics, 就是 Egyptian language that were used by the high priest. And we say that it looks like a pictograph, but it's not, because it's a phonetic alphabet. 它是一个发声音的字母，而不是象形文字哈。象形文字 is called pictograph or pictogram. These 2 words are used interchangeably. And in Chinese language, written language, there are some very older characters that came from their pictures. For example, we have 3 examples here. The sun became a circle with a dot inside, and then gradually it evolved into the word, the sun, what we are using now. Even though it does not look like the sun anymore, we know that it came from the pictograph of a sun. And here we have 3 mountain peaks, and it gradually changed and into this currently using character called shan, which is mountain. And here is a picture of an animal, which is an elephant. And in the beginning, there was a pictogram that looked like the elephant with a big nose. Of course, it also has words of other animals like sheep or horse or cow or whatever. They all look very similar, but this one in particular has a big nose. So this one is an elephant. And after some time, it gradually changed into this. And you can tell that this part is the trunk of the elephant, okay? So an elephant's nose is called a trunk, huh? A trunk is similar to a car has a trunk in the back, what is right, a big suitcase. In the old days when people travel, they have a large leather or wooden box as their luggage. That's called a trunk. But nowadays we all have a much lighter luggage. So this is called the pictograms. Then we talked about cartouche, which is a little longish, oval-shaped circle that has characters in it. It's called the cartouche. You can see like this, huh? So when you have a lot of pictograms, pictogram-like characters in the longish circle, in the Egyptian writing, you know that this circle represents the name of the king or the queen. And in this thing, it's filled with the hieroglyphic letters of the name of the king. And that is the key that broke the code of Rosetta Stone. Rosetta Stone has 3 languages, the hieroglyphics, which is 圣书体, and then the Egyptian demotics, which is a 俗体, just common people. It comes from democracy, the prefix demo. So demotic, it means this language in Egypt that were used by common people. And the 3rd language is classical Greek, which most of the scholars from 15th century to 19th century, they could all read classic Greek. So when European scholars try to decode hieroglyphics, they zeroed in on the cartouches on these stone. There are several, I think maybe 5 or some, a number of cartouche on there. And we know that that rock, that piece of rock excavated near Rosetta was issued a proclamation, 就是这个国王宣言, a proclamation by King Ptolemy. So they assume at least one of the cartouche would have the name Ptolemy on it. So they zeroed in on these few words and finally broke the code. That's the famous Jean-Francois Champollion. Okay, that's how they broke the case, by zeroing in on the cartouche. And if you go to Egypt right now, you will see tons of souvenir shops trying to sell you a cartouche necklace. When I was there in 2006, I believe, or 2007, I was in Egypt on a cruise, a river cruise on the Nile. and you can buy a cartouche necklace, just like the one that's golden here. They would ask for your name, and they write it in their hieroglyphics and carve it on a gold-plated pendant on the necklace. So you buy a necklace with a pendant, a pendant 就是项链上面垂着的那个东西叫做 pendant. And then for $30 in 2007, you can buy one, but I did not. Yeah, maybe I should have. It's very interesting. Compared to any other souvenir, I would say this is the most interesting souvenir you can spend your money on. So if you are going there in the next few years, you should consider buying a cartouche with your name on it. It's okay.
Yeah, I have one with my Chinese
You
name.
have one, yes. Yeah, I
with
know
my Chinese
several
name.
people who wanted to go to Egypt, but then the Egyptian spring broke out, the revolution, and they deposed their Mubarak or somebody. Yeah. So it became very hard. People have to be courageous to go there, even though I thought it's quite safe to go there as a tourist, but of course I cannot guarantee you safety. Okay. So this is called the decipher. You have certain codes that you don't know how to read it, and you try to decipher it. If you have seen Imitation Game, that was a movie by Benedict Cumberbatch and Keira Knightley. That was a story about the person who broke the code during the Second World War in England. He was a homosexual. I'm trying to remember his name. Yeah, I'm from the math department, and one of my classmates married another mathematician, and he won the Turing Award, T-U-R. Turing, Turing Award. That is a very prestigious award, and this is in memory of this Mr. Turing who broke the code. I think it's called the Enigma code, because when you're fighting a war, two parties sending telegraphs, and they do not want the other party to be able to know what they're talking about. So they would code all their messages. And this Mr. Turing, he was great enough to break the German code so that the British side knows everything that German was saying when they were communicating. So that decidedly gave them a great advantage, and some people would think that without Turing, they were not going to win the Second World War. Okay. This is probably, I hope, the last time we talk about unequal treaty, because we talked about this is the third time. Such a treaty between China and the many European powers would generally consist of these elements: cede land, which is 割地, reparations, which is 赔款, lose tariff autonomy, 失去关税自主权, grant extraterritorial privilege, 授予治外法权. All these are very, very unfair, imposed on China so that other big countries could do what they want in China. We would give up lots of things, not just land and money and rights of sovereignty. Okay, sovereignty 就是自主主权，一个国家的主权。I hope I can spell it right. Sovereignty. sovereignty. I hope so. Okay. So I wanted to unpack some of these words. We say seed. It's this word, C-E-D-E. It is to give up something that's mine, but I give up to the other person or another country. So this seed is became part of many other words, such as concede, which means 让步. You are one of the two parties in the fight, and you let the other party prevail. So you concede, such as what Donald Trump should do is to concede that he lost the election, but he has not even done that after yesterday. Even Mitch McConnell conceded that Biden won, but Trump still did not concede. And from this word, we have concession, which in the unequal treaty, that means the 租借, but more popular use is to call those shops in the public park the concession, because the government who owns the park let them have the right to open the hotel or souvenir shop or restaurant. So those shops, those businesses are called concession, while in Shanghai or Tianjin, those neighborhoods were carved out as concession to these foreign countries. And the reparation is 赔款, It comes from the word repair at the end of this line. Repair becomes reparation. It is to compensate something in order to repair your relationship or whatever. It sometimes means to give up money or time or effort to another party because you've done them wrong, to repair the relationship. In our view, we've done nothing wrong other than lost the war. It was our right to defend for ourselves, but we lost. So we have to acknowledge that we did something wrong and give them all these things. Okay, here are these words. They are followed by CEDE. They are exceed, which is to agree, antecedent, which means earlier, concede. Exceed means to go over, be bigger than. Intercede is to be a middleman between two parties in order to influence them and to come to a better solution. That's called intercede. If you have two parties like Israel and Egypt, they want to have a treaty, then they come to United States, and the President Carter would intercede and go between the two of them in order to come to a peace treaty. Precede is to go before, and proceed is to go forward, and recede is to go backward, and the secede is to split, to go separate ways. Or to succeed is to go following something. For example, Wednesday succeeds Tuesday, okay? And supersede is to take place of another thing. For example, you have a law and you write a new law to replace it. So the new law would supersede the previous one. So all these words use the part CEDE as part of the word with prefixes such as pro, re, c, and the super and inter and so on and so forth. Here's a picture in Vienna that I took in 2005, and that is an art museum. It is an Art Nouveau museum, but at that time, Art Nouveau, which is 新艺术派, is called secession This new style of art, which breaks away from the classical way, is called the secession. So this is 分离派, we have that word secede in the previous list. Secede is here, 就是分离的意思. And this is nicknamed the golden cabbage because when you look at it, it looks like a golden cabbage. It is a new sculpture, outdoor sculpture that is in the style of the secession style. So if you're in Vienna, you are bound to look at this and wonder what it's about. It is a golden cabbage. Yeah.
So Joe, when you were there, did it look like a cabbage?
Well, it's just a big cabbage-shaped gold thing with all kinds of little grooves on it. Yeah, if you call it a golden cabbage, I think it does look like a cabbage, but not 100%.
The other question I have, why your name become Laura?
What?
Your name, your screen name is Laura.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, not Joe anymore. I thought you changed your name.
I told her that I need to use her computer. She says she doesn't have Office, Microsoft Office. So we downloaded her version. She has another computer she uses all the time, but this one she used it while she was taking Zoom classes in my van. So it has the username Laura. That's why you see Laura. The next thing I asked is, do I need to download Zoom? She said, no, she already has it. That's why my name becomes Laura. Okay, I did not realize that. Now I look at it, yeah. My name is Laura.
I thought you changed your name.
Well, I just don't know what my computer will be. I'm hoping that after some work, I will be able to make it work again. But if not, I will have to buy one. So at least today I'm using her computer. If I couldn't buy one or fix one, then next week I will continue to use this computer. Actually, I had a big screen computer that I managed to install Office today as well. But after I did that, I realized it doesn't have a web camera and it doesn't have a microphone. So I could not give a class on that computer. So that's that. So I came back to Laura's. Okay, this is repeal. It's about those unequal treaties. Finally, they were repealed. We can also say the repeal of those treaties. So this word repeal is both a verb and a noun. And last time we also mentioned that among all those unequal treaties, one was with Russia, 爱婚条约, and we gave up Outer Manchuria to Russia because they threatened to attack us. So I said, as you can see on this map, which I did not have last time, on this map, our northeast, which is Manchuria, is the dark red part, while the light pink one, outside the two rivers, or the outer, is the outer Manchuria. The two rivers was阿姆河跟乌苏里江哈. Amu River was called Amu by the Russians, and we call it Heilongjiang, while the other one on the east side would be the Usulijiang. I think it's called the Ussuri River. Okay, so from this map, you could tell that Russia took a large chunk of Manchuria away from us. And pretty soon they wanted more, and Japan was not happy. So they had a big war, Russo-Japanese War, Russo, R-U-S-S-O hyphen Japanese War, that's 日俄战争 in 1905, and then Russia lost. This is the funniest thing, ridiculous thing in the whole world, that is two countries, Russia and Japan, having a big fight in China. And we just stood there, let them fight on our land. Isn't that ridiculous? And anyway, after that war, which Russia left, Japan came forward, and they gradually took over the inner Manchuria, which was at that time Zhang Zuolin's territory. And they set up an accident to blow up a section of the railway. And they claimed that Chinese sabotaged and destroyed that railway, which is in China. So what's the business of Japanese coming here to complain? But they actually killed Zhang Zuolin, and they invaded inner Manchuria. I don't know if I can add any words to it. I guess I can. Okay. If I write behind, okay, it's called the sabotage. This word sabotage is probably a French word. It is when you have two sides that were fighting each other, and the one side would do something which is not a declaration of war, but to secretly or to do it on the side in order to destroy something. That is called the sabotage. I don't know how to translate it. 就是破坏，而是一种敌意的破坏。Okay. Then after this, not Russo-Japanese war, but before that we had the 中日战争，就是we would call it 甲午战争, which was in 1894 to 1895 with the 马关条约 signed in 1895. And a few years after that, which is 1899, we had the Boxer Uprising, which is 义和团. This uprising is because some people who are rather ignorant, they claim that they were 刀枪不入. They think that they have magical power, that the foreigners' gun would not kill them. So they had an uprising and they went about killing foreigners, most of them missionaries and some of them diplomatic staff. And because of the rampant killing of foreigners, the foreign military launched a big alliance. They sent 45,000 troops to attack Beijing, mainly Beijing. They had 8 nations that together they formed an attack force and besieged the capital of Beijing, which is called the action of 八国联军, 8-nation alliance. And they were successful in that they besieged the capital for 55 days. And the emperor and the 2 empresses, dowagers, escaped to the summer palace in Chengde. As a result, we had to sign an equal treaty with all 8 nations that included reparation. That is a lot of money. They would fine us. We would pay them a lot of money. How a lot, I mentioned last time, it is the total amount of reparation exceed the total income of the whole country annually. So even if the whole country did not spend any of the taxation and send all these money to the 8 countries, they still have they're still in red. The country just could not function. However, we know that at least the United States used their portion of reparation to give a college student Western education by having establishing a Tsinghua Daxue and sending several batches of young men to be educated in United States, including Hu Shi and many others. This reminded me of an article I recently read written by Benjamin Franklin, who was one of the founding fathers of the United States. And he proposed that even though we look down upon the Native American people, they are not inferior to us in their civilization, their thinking, or their whatever they have. They are somebody to be respected. And he mentioned an example is America government, when we started the country of the United States, we offered several scholarships to American Indians so that they could go to study at the American University and do things like what Hu Shi did, to study and learn things and to go back to teach their own country. But it was turned down by the American Indians. They say, your college does not teach anything that our young men would like to learn. All the stuffs are not useful, whether you read about Greek or Latin or philosophy or science. We don't need that. We want our young men to be able to hunt and to build shelters and do all sorts of things that your college doesn't teach, okay? So I thought that's very insightful for Benjamin Franklin to realize that each culture has their differences and their advantages over others. It's not that it's not a white supremacy world. Okay, let's move on. And this word is engraving, that is to carve intricate patterns using a knife or other hard metal tools to carve usually on metal or on wood. That's called engraving. This one, this opium flower on the right is beautiful, beautiful. And I was asked by, was that Alice or, yeah, what's the difference between engraving and etching? Etching is translated as a 石刻 or 刻石, so it involves 刻 and 石. So you would use acid or some other kind of corrosive chemical in order to corrode the surface of the metal in order to make a pattern. So it would create a beautiful picture, or it would create a printing plate so that you can print a certain picture that you desired many, many times. This is called the etching. And the etching, nowadays, we use etching to do circuit boards, which is a relatively new use. That is, you have a motherboard with the circuits on it. Instead of channeling wires from here to there, you would etch it so that the silver or copper line act as a conductor so that electricity could pass from one place to another on this circuit board. If you have ever taken a look, if you open the CPU of your computer, you would see green boards you could take out one after another with circuit boards on it with many, many, many metal lines which are etched on it. This is one of the examples. So you can do so much more than engraving. if you etch. And then I come to the word triathlon, which is in the sports game. This is a 3 events game called the Triathlon, 三项全能运动, and we also have 7 events or 10 events. This one is 3. These are all in Olympic Games. And the 3 events are swimming, cycling, and running. And the next one is about the 7th event, 7项运动. It's called Heptathlon. You have women's and men's Heptathlon. They're slightly different, and these 3 are the same. Long jump, 跳远, shot put. Shot put is 铅球, high jump is 跳高, 200 meters 就是短跑了. In men, it's 60 meter. And meters with hurdles, there's 有高栏, 100公尺高栏, 叫做100 meter hurdles. Hurdle 就是 to pass over a barrier, it's called a hurdle. Javelin is 标枪, while pole vault is 撑杆跳. These are all the events in an Olympic game. They selected 7 to form a heptathlon. On the other hand, the greatest of them all would be the decathlon, which is 十项全能. They have men's and women's decathlon, and only one of them is different, only slightly different. I wonder why. It's 100 meter hurdle for women and 110 meters hurdles for men. And all the rest are the same. That includes discus throw, which is a 铁饼. Here we have discus throw and the pole vault and the javelin, which is 标枪, and shot put is 铅球. And as we grew up, we have certainly heard of Yang Chuanguang, who is an excellent decathlon athlete. And he became a good friend of Rayford Johnson, who died last week. Rayford Johnson and C.K. Young became very good friends as they prepared to compete against each other in Rome in 1960. I think they had the same coach. I did not put his name here. So they became a very good friend. And one day we would see in the news that this person won a certain event, and then the other day the next person would win a different event, and so on and so forth. So they were very, very competitive and excellent, the 2 best in the world. But in the end, when the event finally happened, Rayford Johnson took the gold. So he became the best athlete in the whole world, while Yang Chuanguang did not win silver. I think he won either the 3rd or 4th. So this is Rayford Johnson, 1934 to 2020. He died 2 weeks ago. He was an American decathlete, which means an athlete who specialized in decathlon. And he became a film actor later because he's rather handsome and tall, very good looking. So he became a film actor. And he won gold in decathlon. There are several notable things about him. In 1968, he and another football player and another journalist, George Plimpton, 3 of them tackled Sirhan, who killed Robert Kennedy, who fatally shot Robert Kennedy. And the 3 of them who happened to be there, they tackled this killer so that he could not escape. So that was one of the memorable things. Then after he retired as an athlete, athletics, he was an athlete. He retired from athletics. He turned acting, and he was in sports casting. He would anchor a sport event by making commentary, comment on this game or this athlete or whatever. That's called sports casting, just broadcasting a sports event. And the public service. So he was in public service as well. He was instrumental in creating the California Special Olympics. Special Olympics is an Olympic game that is for handicapped people. Do we say handicapped now or just disabled people? We certainly don't say a person is limping the leg with clutches and so on. We don't use those derogative words, but we say Special Olympics, meaning those athletes in those games, they were handicapped or they were disabled. And here's his acting career. He made all these movies, almost 10 movies, starting with The Sins of Rachel Cade. I've seen that movie, but it was not famous. It has Roger Moore, who went on to be James Bond, and Angie Dickinson, who was a nun. And the Elvis Presley movie, we call him Mao Wang, but no one else does. Everyone else calls him King of Rocks. Elvis Presley is the King of Rocks, 就是摇滚乐的国王. But in Taiwan, we just call him Mao Wang. I don't know why. And Elvis Presley was in quite probably 7 or 8 movies. They were all pretty good, popular movie. I wouldn't say good. They were lousy movies, but he really can sell tickets. And this movie is called The Wild in the Country. I think the girl was Tuesday Weld. Yeah, I've seen maybe 5 or 4 of Presley's movies, but in the end, I stopped going to see those movies. Yeah, I was quite a big fan, but not that crazy. Then there were a significant movie, which is the 4th one, None But the Brave. It was directed by Frank Sinatra. Frank Sinatra was a big singer, but he appeared in many movies. But this is the only one he directed, None But the Brave. I think it's about the Second World War. Rayford Johnson was also in 2 Tarzan movies, and Last Grenade is probably also a World War II movies. Soldier. He was such a hunk that he would naturally appear in some war movies. But he was also in Roots, which I saw the whole thing, but I did not realize he was in that movie. The Next Generations. Roots is a very, very popular TV series. We call that a mini series. And in the beginning, there were 6 episodes, and then there was the Next Generation. And Rayford Johnson was in one of them. Alex Haley was a novelist who wrote the script by adapting his own book, Roots. It's about a group or one single Black person in Africa captured by slave traders and forcibly shipped to America to become a slave, and his marriage and his children and so on and so forth. That really, really shocked the entire country. Many of them did not realize what suffering a Black slave went through. It was a huge success. And then the last one was in the James Bond movie, License to Kill. That's probably by Pierce Brosnan. This is the 3rd time I have this thing, this numerical prefixes that you can see on the right-hand side for the numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. I talked to my sister Eileen, and she says, you did not give any example of number 9, which is NON. I said, that's because I don't know any. Okay, so I'm revisiting it. Here we have unicycle, bicycle, bipolar. Bipolar is some kind of mental illness that your mood swing would suddenly become very high and then suddenly become very low. So you're swinging between two polarized positions. And for the number 3, we had tricycle, triangle, trident, triathlon, and the triplets. Triplets is a 三胞胎哈. You have a mother giving birth to 3 either identical or not identical babies at the same time, a few minutes apart. And we had this trident, which is a lance with a 3-pronged weaponry on top. That is the weapon, that is the default weapon of Neptune or Poseidon. 希腊罗马神话里的海神就是用这个 trident 3叉这个枪。For the number 4, we had quadruped, quadruple, and quadruplet. Quadruplet is a 4胞胎 Pentagon is 五角形 像 like the Department of Defense, the building has 5 corners. It's a 5-edged polygon. And once you know the polygon, you know pentagon, hexagon, I think they have a different word for 7. And then you have octagon and so on. And that's where the number 9 comes in. The only one I could find for number 1 is nanogon. This one, not nanogon. Nanogon is also called the enneagon, whatever that is called. But all these are polygons with the GON at the end, convex polygon. That means this is 凸起来的. All the corners are convex. If it's concave, then it would be 凹下去. It would be punched inside that. You cannot have a convex polygon with 4 sides because all 4 sides must be 凸出来, must be convex. However, when you have more than 4 sides, like a pentagon, you could punch one corner in, and this 5-edged polygon would have one corner that's concave. So that would be not a convex polygon, but everything you see here are convex polygon with the word convex as 凸出来的意思. They all have the word regular in front of it, which means all the sides have equal length. 就是说等边4角, 等边5角, 等边6角, etc. So it's called a regular polygon. And here we have the square, pentagon, hexagon, heptagon, octagon, and the decagon. And then we talk about this word convex. Convex 是凸出来的, while the word concave is 凹进去的. So we have a series of lengths, and each length has 2 sides, and each side could either be convex as the one on the very left, both sides are convex, and the one on the very right, both sides were concave. And all those in between has different degrees of either convex or concave sides. When I first got my eyeglasses, and when I was 13 years old, and I look at my glasses and I said, "Oh, it looks like convex lens." But no, it's not. It's actually something like this one. You look from one side, you thought it was convex. However, this side is even more concave. So together, they are. This piece is thinner in the middle, and thicker on the side. So it's not a convex lens. This would be a biconvex lens, okay? Then the word alma mater, or you can in English call it alma mater, where mater is the Latin for mother, and alma means nourishing, 就是养护爱护或滋养的 mother and it means 母校，就是说母校 is like a nourishing mother, and this statue is in Columbia University in New York City, and it means in Latin, it's the college that you formerly attended. So you either graduated from it or you did not graduate from it, but you did go there, and that is your alma mater or alma mater. Then we talked about quadriceps, which is the part with 4 muscles attaching to your pelvic bone and your knee. And there are 4 different pieces of muscle. 所以我们叫做四头肌. They would have 2 ends attached to different places that makes you able to move your legs. If you cannot control your muscle, you are not going to be able to walk. And on the other hand, we have different muscles up here in our arms. The 2 on top or on the left-hand side, they are called the biceps, 就是二头肌. And the red parts on the right-hand side, they're called the triceps, 三头肌. So you, especially when you go to the gym and the exercise teacher would say, today we're doing this and we're exercising our biceps, and we're doing that, we're exercising our triceps. So those different places have different kind of muscles, and you need to exercise them differently. And the quadriplegic, which comes from the word quadri, which means 4, is a person who could not move the 4 limbs. Both arms and both legs were paralyzed or missing. You could be missing those limbs. Limbs 就是一个四肢的肢 limb 就是一个肢 so you have 4 limbs. A person should have 4 limbs, but if you have none, then you are a quadriplegic. And last time we spent a lot of time talking about the bigut, trigut, quadriga, and the seuga. We're not going to talk about that now. And when we have 4 or 3 or 6 horses that's in front of a chariot, we say that the horses are abreast, 就是他们的胸膛是齐在一起的，这个叫做 abreast. It's used as the verb, as an adjective. There are many words we add an A in front to make it to become different. A different word, but with a particular meaning that's related to this word. For example, weight, if you put an A in front, it becomes a weight. It's a different kind of change from this, but it means when you say wait for something, you can say await without that for, because await is a transitive verb instead of an intransitive verb. I'm talking about 及物动词或者是不及物动词动词。你把 wait 加一个 a 在前面，使它从不及物动词变成一个及物动词，所以你就不必在后面加 for, F-O-R. Okay. Now we're talking about Italian reunification, which is a big subject today. I mentioned it in the second slide that we're going to talk about Italian reunification. The reason is we talked about this quadrigas. There are 2 quadrigas on this beautiful white building that was sitting right in the middle of all these ancient Roman structures. So many of the Italian people were very unhappy when this building came up, even though it could look very magnificent, because it does not go well with its neighboring structures. You have the Palatine, and you have the Capitol Square, and you have the Forum, and so on and so forth. They're all surrounded beautifully in this area, but this very new building is really 煞风景, huh? Many people didn't like it, and they call it the wedding cake. This is a picture I took in 2003, and this building is called Altare della Patria, just altar of the fatherland. And right in the middle, you have this man riding on a horse, and his name is Victor Emmanuel II, who was the first king after Italian unification. And the two quadrigas, of course, represent victory. We missed the first one. Okay, so the year was 1848. That's when all the European countries under monarchy started their revolution, and Italy was no exception. We know that Napoleon was one of the greatest heroes of all mankind. He was French, and he led the French army to conquer just about every country in Europe, from Spain all the way to Russia. But he finally, in Russia in 1812, he did not succeed, and he withdrew, he retreated. But he was still the king and then the emperor of, actually he was, there was a French Revolution, and when he came up, it was a republic. So he changed the French Republic into an empire, and he became the emperor of French Empire. He was the first one. And pretty soon he was defeated by the British, notably by, what's his name? Wellington. Wellington in British army defeated Napoleon in 1815 in Waterloo. Waterloo is a town in Belgium, and Wellington defeated Napoleon, and Napoleon went all the way down. He was exiled, and finally he died on a desolated island. But what you can see on this slide is Congress of Vienna. All the monarchy in Europe, they were panicking. They had a big meeting called the Congress of Vienna, trying to restore all the monarchies in each country. They were all one party. They were for each other, even though there were many heads of many different states and sometimes go to war against each other. Now they're all in this together. They try to restore all these little countries, monarchies, so that the people will not go on to revolt against them. So from since Napoleon was gone, all the people were trying to have a say in their country. They read the books written by French Enlightenment, like Rousseau and Montesquieu and so on, so that they realized that for thousands of years, 2,000 of years, they were obeying as a slave under their kings and emperors, and they want to be their own boss. So the Congress Vienna was not successful in suppressing all the people. And in 1848, every country was revolting, including Italy. And for Italy, in 1871, they finally succeeded in putting a king of their choice, who was Victor Emmanuel II. They put that king on the throne in Rome. So we say that Italian unification was from 1848 to 1871. And I would easily give you this number, 1848, because I saw it in the movie The Great Walls. It was a famous movie, famous in Taiwan. We call it 翠提春晓. It's about the story of Johann Strauss, the senior, the second, the junior, okay? Johann Strauss was the composer who wrote fantastic waltzes, 华尔兹曲. And in this movie, he was on the street and there were people trying to protest and do an uprising. And that was in the year 1848. And when I first saw that movie, probably 50 or 60 years ago, maybe 65 years ago, I realized that, oh, that's a number I need to remember. 1848 is the year that lots of European countries saw their people revolting, and many ended up establishing or founding a new government, such as Italy. In 1871, they became a unified country. And in Germany, in 1870, they became one unified country that was previously Prussia, Prussian, and many other little states. Now they became one in 1870. So the country of Germany or Italy did not exist before 1870 or 1871. In Italy's case, it was one huge unified country under Roman Empire. They were first a republic, sometime maybe 53 BC. They become an empire under Caesar, Julius Caesar, and they were unified as Western Roman Empire until the year maybe 479. Yeah, that's the year they stopped being one country. It was a huge empire, but from that year on, 479, they no longer was a unified country, and it became many countries, many states. If you go to visit Italy, you could see many small hills, 一个小山丘, with a castle on top, and that was a country sometime before. And you can see many such little countries like Padua or Siena or Verona or any of those countries. They are one government on the top of a hill with a castle, and those surrounding residents would be the citizen of that country. But there were dozens and dozens or even hundreds of them in one country, Italy. But after 1871, for the first time since 479, they become a unified country. That's why they're so happy about it, okay? And under this king who eventually unified the country after a lot of work and the battles, this king, Victor Emmanuel II, he was aided by three great heroes of Italian revolution. They are called, as the second paragraph tells you, 马志尼, 加里波第, and 加富尔. Yeah, we learned their names in high school. They're called the 意大利革命三杰, the three heroes of Italian revolution. And they were each fantastic in their own way. They're all different. Mazzini, he was a philosopher, a historian. Did I say philosopher? Yes, I think so. He he gave people the idea that a person should be his own boss, and we are all in this together, and we can have found one country that is ours. So he is their spiritual leader. And the second one is Garibaldi. He's a military leader. He was genius in battlefield. He's great strategist, and he just led the military part very, very well. And he not only succeeded in Italy, he was also a great military genius in South America. That's why he was on Uruguay's currency, paper money. They had Cavour and Garibaldi's picture on it. Of course, not today, but in the old days. And so he's a military genius. And the third one was Cavour. He was the prime minister. So he took care of the economy and the transportation. He built railroads, and he established the parliament. So he took the aspect of the administrative parts. So this great king, who became the first king of the country, had the aid of three great people. That's why I wanted to talk about this, because I remember them as the three great heroes. And together they are called the fathers of the fatherland, because they are fathers of their Italy. Italy is their fatherland. So this is the king. He was the king of this country, which is called the Sardinia. Can you see that? Sardinia is a big island south of Corsica. Napoleon came from Corsica, which is the island north of Sardinia. Corsica now belongs to France, while Sardinia and Sicily belong to Italy. And he was the king of Sardinia, this Emmanuel, but he led the people on this mission to found a unified country, and he succeeded. Okay, so he was the king of Sardinia, and later he hired Cavour, who was one of the three heroes, and Cavour was the prime minister under him. And they supported the Garibaldi in the military battles. And he also maneuvered diplomatically. He was very successful maneuvering among all these huge European powers. Yeah. So he became the king in 61. Okay. And then finally in the year 1871, he established the capital, Rome, as the capital of that unified country. However, there's part of the country still not belonging to the unified country, like Venetia. That would be Venice, and that happened in 1918 after the Austria-Hungary and the Turkish Empire both lost in the First World War. There were 4 empires that collapsed after the Second World War. They were Austria-Hungary, they were Turkish Empire, and the Russian Empire, and the German Empire. After that, they became a republic, I believe. So this is Austria-Hungary and Turkey both occupied some part, the northern part. Austria was here and Hungary was there, and the Turk was over there. Okay, Turk is over there. beyond this map, but Turkish Empire occupied all these areas. So this was part, maybe Venice was part of either Turkish Empire or Austria-Hungary. So they did not join the United Italy until 1918. Okay, then we talk about each of these people. This is Mazzini. He made people have this idea and a dream to have a republic. Okay, and then Mazzini thought, okay. Oh, the people really loved him. I mean, all over the world, they love him because his ideal is so great. It's even more nuanced， 就是说他的这个非常高深细微的这个思想哈 ，very nuanced idea of how a country, a constitutional country, should be. His ideas are even better than all the rest of the great ideas, such as Woodrow Wilson in America, or David Lloyd George in the British Prime Minister, and the other not great European countries, but the colonial powers. Colonial countries started their revolution soon. For example, Gandhi in India and several other persons, this Savarkar and this Nehru, just Nehru, and all these three are Indian revolutionaries. And we have Golda Meir and David Ben-Gurion. They were founders of Israel. And this person I could not pronounce established Ghana, which is an African country, and the Sun Yat-sen, who founded the Republic of China. All these great peoples, when people think about them and compare them, Mazzini is greater than them all because they are all narrower-minded with some kind of bias or whatever. But Mazzini is really has an elevated goal much better than the rest of all these greats. So that is what he is. And there are some of places in Italy having his statue. And all these people, all three plus the king himself, all four people have statues everywhere in Italy. These two are in Pisa 斜塔的那个 city, and Rome, and this is Roma. And also not real statues, and this one is a bust. We say a bust is only from chest up. This statue is in Central Park, New York City, and this is the mark of his home. He lived there in London for probably a shorter time, okay? So people are really proud and respect of him, even not in Italy. Then the next person, oh my God, okay. I'm looking at the watch. Okay, Garibaldi is very, very famous. Yeah, I read in other novels, for example, Joseph Conrad's, what's it? Nostromo, Nostromo. It mentioned all those people in Peru who respected Garibaldi. And I just go very quickly. He was in all these armies, such as Sardinia or Italy, and he was also commander in Alps, just our bases and International Legion, and so on and so forth. And he was in Uruguayan War and the Franco-Prussian War. So he was a soldier in many places. And this is a place I saw in Milan. This is a statue that has his name underneath. And I was at this place in March of 2003. And this is also a picture taken by myself on September 29th of 2014. It was in Nice. When you talk about Nice, you would say, oh, it's on Côte d'Azur, 就是蔚蓝海岸, huh? In France, why would they have a big statue there? Because Nice was part of Italy for a period of time, and they put up this statue of Garibaldi when Nice was part of Italy. Isn't that funny? And this one is here, right here in Oregon, the state of Oregon. They have a city called the Garibaldi with a big letter G on the side of a hill. G on the hill in Garibaldi, Oregon. Isn't that fantastic? And here is the Mount Garibaldi in British Columbia. In British Columbia. That's how famous he was. As I mentioned, this is him, and this is Cavour. They were both on the Ulagui, the paper money, 10 peso or something, I don't know. Diaz, that's 10. Oh, here, Diaz pesos. So it's a 10个 peso 的一个钱, in 1887. That's how the whole world loved all these three people. And this is Cavour. And he became a prime minister of Sardinia. And later, this country was aligned with Piedmont. Here is Piedmont. So isn't that funny? This state or 省份, and this 省份combined to become Piedmont Sardinia, Kingdom of Piedmont Sardinia, and he was the prime minister under Emmanuel. He did all these things, and people think he was dictatorial. So 他是一个很专制的人, but he did accomplish a lot of things. He ignored his ministerial colleagues, 别的部长要有什么意见他都不听, and he ignored the opinion of the parliament, and he interfered in parliamentary elections. So we think that he was dictatorial. And this is the picture I took when I was there. This is him in a little park called the Piazza Cavour, that's named after him. And this on the map is here, Piazza Cavour, which is right next to Castel Sant'Angelo, 就是天使城堡或者是堡垒, it's very famous with the bridge called the Sant'Angelo Bridge. 上面有很多很多漂亮的雕像, lots of beautiful statues. And here is Vatican. So if you go to Vatican, and I hope you would also go to visit this, which is now a museum. It was a fortress. And right here is a tiny park that has a Cavour in there. We're coming to the end very soon. Dismantle is a verb that's used to take things apart. Also, maybe a king dismantled the parliament, for example. Was it, let's just say, Cromwell. Cromwell in England, in 克林威尔, he dismantled the parliament. Or we can dismantle the kingdom. We had the kingdom, which later we did not like it anymore, so we dismantled it. That's a word called a dismantle. And these two words, clique is very commonly used. It can mean like our underworld, our organized crime 的 cliques, 像我们的竹联帮啊或者什么的这种叫做一个 clique, 或者是 a really respectable clique, or some kind of clique in the court, or a party. So this is or in the high school, several girls could be forming a clique and they would bully other girls. That's a very useful word, while this word is not useful. A eunuch is not a useful word. And the fizzle This was used to describe the romantic relationship between, how do you say, Joan Baez and, I could not even say that one, who wrote...
Bobby Dylan?
Yeah, Bob Dylan. Yeah, Bob Dylan. I thought it was not Alan. What's his name? Okay, Bob Dylan. Their love affair fizzled out. That is something that lost its excitement or become less exciting. You use the word fizzle or fizzle out to describe that. Let us now go on to this next one, which is a song which is in the movie Student Prince, sung by Mario Lanza. I hope it's this one. I need to click the volume and the share. Did we get her? Okay. Did you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's play this song. This is Edmund Prudhomme. He plays the role with the songs sung by Mario Lanza. He was just lip syncing. It was all dubbed. And this student prince went to Heidelberg to become a student at the university, and all these are his fellow students. And they
Gentlemen, salamander.
Salamander. Salamander Rex.
And there's Anne Blythe.
Drink it down in one breath.
She was a marvel.
Drink. 1, 2, 3, 4. Lift your stein and drink your beer. 1, 2, 3, 4. Lift your stein and drink your beer. Drink. 2 eyes that are bright as stars when they're shining on me.
Drink.
2 lips
That are red and sweet as the fruit on the tree. Here's a hope that those bright eyes will shine, lovingly, longingly, soon into mine. May those lips that are red and sweet tonight with joy my own lips meet. Drink, let the toast start. May young hearts never part. Drink, let every true lover salute his sweetheart.
Drink. 2 arms that are wide and warm as the rose in the sun. Drink. 2 hearts that will love one only when I am the one.
Here's a hope that those soft arms will twine. All I ask is the right to see those smiling eyes beguiling me. Drink, let the toast start. May young hearts never part.
Drink, let every true lover salute his sweetheart. Let's drink.
Okay. Did anybody see this movie before?
Yes.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
Love it.
Yeah, I love it too. But the other day I saw it on YouTube, which is a very bad version, not very good resolution. And it's so juvenile. It's really not a good movie compared to movies nowadays. It's a very poorly made movie, but I loved it at that time. Yeah, there are movies you can see on YouTube for free. And we all liked Mario Lanza, who did the singing. However, he did not do the movie, did not play as an actor, okay? So the song started with 1, 2, 3, 4, because they were in Germany, they spoke German. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4. Just a count. Lift your stein and drink your beer. Stein 是一个啤酒杯哈。Originally, it just means 石头的东西, but they carve a mug out of a rock, so they call it a stein. 1, 2, 3, 4. Lift your stein and drink your beer. Drink to eyes that are bright as stars when they're shining on me. He had his eyes on this girl for a long time. Then the girl just kept evading because the girl knew that he was a prince and she would not be involved with the king, prince who would soon become a king, and there's no place for her. So he was singing all these songs courting her, but in the end he has to go back to his own country and to marry someone else. To lips that are red and sweet as the fruit on the tree. These are all very simple words. I often find that when I hear a Chinese poem, which is so beautiful, delicate, and sophisticated, with an English song, which is so rude and coarse, so it does not really mean the two languages are that far apart. It's just that we know our Chinese language poems that are so sophisticated, but English songs, we only know the really simple ones. Here's a hope that those bright eyes will shine lovingly, longingly soon into mine. So I do hope that those eyes will shine into mine. May those lips that are red and sweet tonight will, oh, okay, I think that's a bad word, join, huh? Join my own lips meet. Let the toast start. 让我们开始，这个 toast 就是我们的敬酒哈。We say 干杯, they would say something else, bottom up or something, or salute. Huh? They would say salute quite often. Salute means to your health. May young hearts never part. Drink, drink, drink. Let every true love salute his heart. Okay, here. Salute later becomes you would salute somebody to pay respect to somebody. I don't know which was first. You salute somebody first, or you wish them good health first. There are hospitals and churches that are named as salute or salutation because after the Great Plague, they thank God because they survived. So they use the word salute to name their church.
Yeah, Joe, excuse me.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. So I saw your screen is not really clear. I don't know if others also see your screen like this.
Oh, I would not know how to fix it. I just shared it. You mean after the song, it's no longer clear, or it was?
After the YouTube, I guess. So can you stop share and share again?
Oh, maybe I should. Yes, I'll try that. Okay, and the start. Let me see if I could undo these two and choose these. Oh, didn't work.
No, I think
it didn't work. Yeah, I should.
You select the wrong.
Yeah,
window.
I select the wrong one. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I did not choose this one. Okay. Is it a little better?
Yeah, much better. Thank you.
Oh, that is because when I play the song, or when I share the song, I chose both the volume and another box. And now I unclick those two boxes. So it went back to the original. So next time I should remember that for the PowerPoint, I should not click those boxes. Okay, thank you very much. Drink to arms that are white and warm as a rose in the sun. This is really not good poetry. Arms that are white and warm, huh? If it was a Qingguan, he would find tons of beautiful words instead of arms that are white and warm. That's terrible to me. To hearts that will love one only when I'm the one. Okay, this is tricky, huh? I'm drinking to the heart that will love one, but only when I was the one, huh? Here's the hope that those soft arms will twine with mine, tenderly, trustingly soon around mine. 我希望那个人的手臂的柔软的手臂要跟我的手臂这样缠绕在一起，而他的缠绕的方式呢是 tenderly and trustingly， 就是非常的温柔的，而且是很信任我的来绕在一起哈。OK。All I ask is the right to see those smiling eyes beguiling me. 这个 beguile 就是让我迷惑哈。There was a movie called The Beguiled. The new one was done by Clint Eastwood, but no, I'm sorry. The old one was by Clint Eastwood. The new one was by Colin Farrell, I think. Not Colin Farrell. One of the young guys, not Colin Farrell. Some Farrell, okay? Anyway, the movie is called The Beguiled, which is the same word, but it's being beguiled. And beguiling is somebody who would beguile you, and you are the person being beguiled. 就是被他魔住了，被他的魔力所影响，而失去了你的正常的判断哈。You lose your regular judgment when you are beguiled by another person. Let the toast star, let every true love salute his sweetheart. So that's the whole thing. And this movie is called the Student Prince, which means a prince of a tiny country who went to Heidelberg to be a student, university student. It was a musical. It's a musical written by Sigmund Romberg. And this was his most famous musical. He wrote several others not as famous. It was the Broadway show in 1924 and had a run of 608 performances, which is phenomenal at that time because in the similar year, Showboat had only 572 runs. I'm sorry, it has a run of 572 performances. The number should be describing the word performance instead of describing the run. You can see a run of this many performances. And Showboat was a very, very successful one. It was surprising that Student Prince had more performances than Showboat because Showboat was more successful and also became a movie. And we had Irene Dunne in that movie. And probably Howard Keel as the leading man in Showboat. Drinking Song was very, very popular because it was in the middle of the Prohibition. At that time, in 1924, nobody could buy or sell or drink any alcoholic drinks. That's called the Prohibition. So at that time, people went to see this musical and they just craved for a drink, but they could not drink. That's Prohibition for you. That's a movie poster. So this is not a poster, not a playbill for the Broadway show. It is for the movie. And you would see M. Blythe on the left-hand side and Edmund Purdom on the right-hand side. I just checked earlier today, and M. Blythe was born in 1928, and she was still alive at age 92. That's probably one of the last surviving big name movie stars of her time. That's the golden age of musicals. The Student Prince, let me see, Student Prince, that's the name of this movie in 1954. It usually takes about 20-30 years for a musical to be made into a movie. And this is Mario Lanza, and this following all 3 slides I copied from the last time I was talking about him, and I'm not going to talk about them. This was when we were studying this song called The Danny Boy, and I showed you a YouTube video, which was his song, singing Danny Boy. And the short story of this is that he was a really common Californian person, truck driver, I think, and he became a big movie star. And he also sang several operas. Anyway, operas. That's a much more respected venue, And he had a 7-year contract with MGM, which we call Mi Gao Mei, And he also played the great Caruso, 歌王卡罗素. All these were very, very famous. And then he signed the contract to make the movie Student Prince, and he recorded all the songs with MGM. But after all the songs were recorded and before the movie started to be made, the filming actually started, he had a huge argument and he was fired. So they hired another actor named Edmund Purdom, who was a nobody at that time. And this person who, as you can see in the picture, quite a handsome young man, but he could not sing and he was not known at all. But this movie was a big, big box office hit because of the recording, the songs sung by Mario Lanza, who later had many fights with many people and died of pulmonary embolism. This word means lung disease of some kind, and died at age 38. That was really a young man when he died. He was a young man. So I'd like to talk about prohibition. Prohibition is the act of forbidding something or some law, 就是禁止，用法律来禁止，或者用什么规则来禁止。For example, a parent could forbid the child from doing something, while the law could forbid something to be done according to the law. That's called the prohibition. That's a noun of the word prohibit, which is, the verb is prohibit. However, in America or in many places where you say prohibition, it means the prohibition of the consumption of alcoholic drinks. 专门指禁酒这件事，这个禁止这个事虽然是禁止 but it's used almost exclusively, almost because you have to use this word somewhere else too. But when people mention prohibition, they mean 禁酒 The banning of the manufacture 就是制造 storage 就是储存 whether in barrels or in bottles 这些都是被 banned all these things are banned 这些都被禁止 banned 这个字就是禁止的意思 You cannot manufacture, you cannot store either in barrels 桶 or in bottles 瓶子 or transportation or sale or possession, possession 是你在你的手里，你拥有这个东西 and the consumption 就是喝它 of alcoholic beverages. All these things about alcoholic beverages are banned. Okay? In the early 20th century, it becomes a very fashionable, this prohibition movement. In the Nordic countries, it started in Scandinavia and in North America, 就是美国了哈。Because of this moralistic conviction of pietistic Protestant， 就是说这些新教哈 ，Protestant 是新教，或者说中文叫基督教，英文叫新教或者叫做反对教，就是不是not Orthodox Christianity and not Catholic Church 哈。The Christian denomination that is not Catholics and not Orthodox is called Protestant. It started in 1517 when Martin Luther announced his 95 theses. 好，马丁路德宗教改革的时候，这个一个大支的宗教就从 Christian 宗教里面出来变成 Protestant. And this branch is often called the pietistic. There were pious here. I have a note here. Pietistic is from the word pious, which means 虔诚的哈. If somebody is very pious, he or she is not a regular run-of-the-mill Christian. He is very seriously, he believes the Bible word by word. Literally every word in the Bible was sacred to him, and he would follow it diligently. So this branch of Protestantism is called the pietistic. That means they're fanatically pious, okay? So these people think drinking alcoholic drinks is not right. You should not drink. It's not their invention because, for example, Islam, if you believe in Islam, Quran and so on, you're not supposed to drink alcoholic drinks. So it's not a stretch to think that a good devout, we can say devout here, huh? Devout. Devout is also the word for pious, 就是很虔诚的意思哈。可是 pious 好像 more spiritual, and devout is more action 哈。So they both means very, very devout or very pious, the same word. And the reason that people suddenly became so pious is they think it's because of women's suffrage. Huh? In America, women got their vote in 1920, and many European countries got women's suffrage before that, like 1918 or 1919. And we in United States was a late comer of women's suffrage. And a whole lot of people, actually half of the population, suddenly got their vote, and they decide that drinking is not proper. So they want their husband to stop drinking, and they maneuvered to have the law passed so that the prohibition of alcoholic drinks became the law of the land. America was not the first to do that, and they all think the influence is coming from women's vote because women are more pious. When we were on the Rhine cruise, we saw a church with a bar next to it, and the tour guide would say, people go to the church on Sunday. Men would go to the bar while the women go to the church. So that's the way it was. In Canada, they started PEI, Prince Edward Island, started prohibition in 1907. That's one of the earliest. Faroe Islands were some islands belonging to Denmark in the middle of North Sea. And so these are one of the earliest. And then came Russia and the Soviet Union and Iceland and Norway. Then later it's Hungary and Finland. So all these countries, starting with Canada and the Faroe Islands of Denmark, they gradually put that into law to prohibit the consumption of alcoholic drinks. So United States was one of the later ones, starting from 1920 to 1930. And it simply did not work because people just could not live their life without alcoholic drinks. So there was huge crime. One day it was legal to drink, and the next day you could not even buy a bottle. So people just could not do that. There were organized crimes like, what's that name? Somebody in Chicago, okay. Al Capone, okay. Al Capone was a bit from Michigan, north of Michigan, maybe from Calgary, from Ottawa, or whatever. So this part was not under prohibition. So he was a big guy. And lots of people, especially in the South, they would do moonshine. I would write the word moonshine here, moonshine. That is homebrewed alcoholic drink that is illegal. Sometimes they call it bathtub gin. So you would make alcoholic bath without that E, probably. So you would use your bathtub to hold your alcoholic drink production. These are all the words used during that time. And that time was called the Roaring 20s. 就是说, when drinking was quite popular despite of the law, that 10 years was called the Roaring 20s. Okay. After several years, it failed. This is another word, bootlegging, and it is 运私酒. You have moonshine, and you have bathtub gin, if you make gin. And you have the word bootleg, bootleg. That means to ship, to transport alcoholic drinks illegally. So in Canada, Mexico, and the Caribbean, they would make a lot of alcoholic drinks and smuggle into United States. Chicago became very famous for Prohibition dodgers. So it generally came to an end in late 20s or early 30s, and Europe as well. However, because it's not effective, they were all put away. The Europe and America all no longer have such a law. However, in some countries, it's still the law even today. We have Saudi Arabia, Libya, Pakistan, and Iran. These two are more strict, while these two, they have exceptions. Okay, then let's do this 将进酒. As I mentioned, it was pretty long with 3 slides, and each one has 8 or 10 lines. So it's a very long one, but it's one fluent. You just, when you read the first, you have to read all the way to the end because it's just one long connected story, okay? It asks you, don't you see that the water from Yellow River comes from heavens and rushed to the sea with no return? It's just something it gives you this view of something that happens that cannot be held back. Don't you see that when you look at the mirror in the morning, your hair was black, and in the evening they become snow white? That, of course, he was taking a poetic license to describe a thing that could happen so quickly. Huh? In one day, your hair turned from snow white, turned from pitch dark black into snow white. Huh? This, we call that a poetic license. Huh? 就是一个诗人呢，可以 because he is a poet, so he has the right to poetic license. This license is give you a right to do something. For example, 007, he has a license to kill. He did not have to ask for permission to kill somebody because he has a license to kill. And when you are a poet, you have the license to write outrageous sentences that are just too not realistic, but people will forgive you because you are a poet. That's the poetic license. So Li Bai would say, you look at a mirror and it was pitch black, dark hair in the morning, and it all turned to snow white in the night, which he's setting it up saying that drinking is such a wonderful thing. You should not stop because life is so short, okay? So the next two lines are 人生得意须尽欢，莫使金樽空对月. The life is so short, and when you are having your way, you should just try your best to have the most fun, as much fun as possible. Don't allow your golden goblet to be empty when you're enjoying the beautiful moonlight. 莫使金樽. When we say 樽 is, we would translate that into a word goblet. A goblet is a larger cup, probably with a stem, and that holds an alcoholic drink instead of a regular water or soda. Of course, at that time, there was no soda. 人生得意须尽欢，莫使金樽空对月。天生我材必有用，千金散尽还复来。He says that God created me for a reason. I am so talented to do something special in this world, so I must do whatever I can to enjoy myself. Even if you worry about not having money, so don't worry about money. 1,000 gold there's a special word for gold pieces. Even you spend 1,000 gold pieces and all is gone, it'll come back someday, so don't worry. 钟鼓馔玉不足贵，但愿长欲醉，不愿醒。这个钟鼓呢 these are musical instruments, bells and drums. A rich family, when they have a feast, they would have a band of orchestra, but of course they have different kinds of instruments. So here we have zhong and gu. These are traditional Chinese instrument, musical instrument. 馔 is a feast or dishes, food dishes. Yu is used to describe these dishes as so subtly great, elegant, superb, beautifully arranged and very tasty. Great dishes, we would say jade dishes. All these music and food, they are not particularly great when compared to drink. Drink beats them all. I just wish I would be drunk for a long, long time and never to wake up from it. That's his wishes. I'm sure he is some kind of alcoholic. And we think the legend has it that he the poet Li Bai, who he died because he was drunk in the boat and he saw the moon in the water and he was trying to reach for that moon and he drowned. But the fact may be different, but we all know that he's drunk most of the time. 古来圣贤皆寂寞，惟有饮者留其名。Since very ancient time, all these saints and sage or wise people, they were all lonely. They were lonely. However, those who drink would leave their names to be known by later people. To become famous, being good and smart and saints and wise men, no, they don't count. You have to drink to enjoy long-lasting fame. As he remembers Chen Wang. Chen Wang is a son of Cao Cao, and we call him Chen Liu Wang, so he was so shortened to be Chen Wang. Cao Zhi, 昔时宴平乐. In the old days, he gave a party. He gave parties all the time in the suburb of which one? I think it's not Luoyang, Chang'an. Let me see. I think I have this here. Okay, it didn't say. Okay, 在洛阳哈。这陈王指陈思王曹植哈。平乐是一个 temple. This temple is to the west of the gate of West Gate in Luoyang, which was the capital. And it was a prominent place for rich and famous people to have entertainment. That's why Li Bai was trying to tell you about Chen Si Wang, how he had fun. He 纵情任意 and 薛喜 就是说 he here we had Chen Wang. This word I would pronounce it 虐, but it was 血. I've never heard of it, but you have to learn that 血. This is the same as 欢, just happy. Having fun and poking fun at each other. In English, you would say roast. You sometimes would roast somebody. Roast. Of course, we know what roast is, to bake or roast beef or chicken or whatever. But when you roast somebody who is a good friend or a famous person, we have celebrity roast. That means a group of friends got together and they all make joke of this one person. That's called a roast, a celebrity roast. You could have a roast of Obama with all his friends poking fun at him, like at the White House journalist party, banquet. That's called roast. It is to 削 somebody. So when Chen Wang was having a banquet, they would use a dou. Dou is like 1,000 liter. That's a big container. You would drink with the dou. That would be a hugely big drink. 斗酒十千资欢悦. Maybe you would spend 10,000 gold pieces to buy a 1,000 liter of 酒 to drink. 古人何谓言少钱，径须沽取对君酌. I think I skipped something, didn't I? I skipped this middle part. Okay. 烹羊宰牛且为乐，会须一饮300杯. This is a short part with only 3 lines. Well, actually, it's more like 6 or 7, 8 lines. Anyway, it's short. Just slaughter the cow and cook the lamb, probably in a stew. Let's have some fun. Right now, we could drink 300 cups or goblets. He was just doing his best, exaggerating. When I said poetic license, he was exaggerating. Exaggerate. Or we say using hyperbole. I think it's spelled this way. These are words that means to exaggerate, using hyperbole. I don't know exactly how it came about, but in an analytic geometry, 解析几何, you would have ellipse, 就是一个椭圆, you would have 抛物线, a trajectory, and you would have 双曲线, which is a hyperbola. Okay, this is the word hyperbola, 双曲线. So this is used to mean greatly exaggerate, probably because this line just goes away with no end inside, okay? And 陈夫子 is, or 秦夫子, 陈, okay, 陈夫子, 丹丘生, these are two of his good friends present at the banquet. He named them by name, saying, you and you should please, 将是请, please is, please drink, don't stop your wine goblet. 与君歌一曲，请君为我倾耳听. I'm going to sing a song to you. Listen to me. I'm going to plead that you drink as much as you can, because that's the part that we just saw here. 钟鼓馔玉不足贵，主人何为言少钱? The fourth line is master, the host. The host, why you say you lack money, you don't have enough money to buy more, just go and buy. You don't have to care about whether you have money or not. 进 is just go straight, and 虚 just must 的意思。进去沽取就是 when you buy something, if it's buying alcoholic drink, you use the word 沽. You can also use it in other places, but 沽 is one that especially you use for wine or drinks. 进去沽取对君酌，五花马，千金裘，呼儿将出换美酒，与尔同销万古愁. So you would read this poem all the way in one breath until the end of it, because he was on the roll. So whether it's a expensive horse with 5 colors, or whether it's a sable coat that's worth 1,000 of gold pieces, 裘这是个外套的意思哈。And of all the fur coats, the sable coat or mink coat would be the most expensive, but I don't know if Levi's time there was sable or not. So you would have sable. Of course, these are furry animals, sable and minks. These are all animals, furry animals that do not shed their hair too much. If you make a coat with a rabbit skin, it sheds, shed 就是它脱毛. It sheds the fur, the hair all the time, so it's not a good, valuable coat, okay? So sable and the minks would be better material. Call your young man or lid, that is a servant, just take those horses and the mink coats in exchange for great wines, and let us drink together in order to forget about all the worries and the sad things of 10,000 years. Okay, this is what he was saying. And if you read it through, it's just a wonderful poem. I must say, Levi was the greatest poet in Chinese history who can write so fluently. It just rolls off your tongue. 我们说 roll off your tongue. 从你的舌头上这样滚出来，不停的这个诗 comes out, rolls off your tongue. Let me write that down too. And this is something that you can read about. Roll off your tongue. Okay, and this is a Taiwan Mobile, probably T-Mobile's sister company, and they had this competition. People can submit their entries, and this is the first prize. This person, he used a line in the poem that we just read, 人生得意须尽欢, which means in your life, when everything is coming your way, you should have as much fun as possible. And this person, whether it's a he or she, he changed it to 人生得意须尽欢, which is exactly the same pronunciation. But it says, when life throws you a pandemic, you should stop having fun. This is a great invention that he won $2,455 for coming up with this line that poke fun at Levi's famous poem. That's all for today. Do you have anything to say?
Why sometimes we say fatherland, sometimes say motherland?
Yeah, if you're in Russia, you would say motherland. It all depends on what people think. It also is in the context, because they want to say something about these three heroes who are all men. So they would say fathers of fatherland. In this one, this person is a woman, they would say mother of motherland. That's just a better way to say it.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah. And also, I just thought that if what Zhang Rong, the book I haven't read, but it sounds very interesting. But at that time, when China signed all those unequal treaties and all that, see the land, everything, but that was under Cixi's watch. So how does she justify? Maybe after I read the book, I would know better. But I just find it.
Well, one thing she deeply apologized was to let the Boxer Uprising to ruin the country. She publicly did that. However, all those things, they are really not under her control. She has no way to prevent it from happening. But what she could do is to hire the best people, such as Li Hongzhang, and there was someone else. Li Hongzhang was one of the very prominent people under her that did all these diplomatic maneuvers and to deal with all these huge, powerful people who had armies in your country and beating you. For example, in Yingfa 战争 in Fuzhou, we had this 虎尾造船厂, this shipbuilding. They built probably a dozen big ships, and in one day they were all sunk by the French naval forces. So with this, she has a very bad set of cards in her hand. He could not do any better than that. For example, people say that she used the fund to build up the navy for his 颐和园 or whatever. But the truth is there was no fund for this palace that she could use. So she used her own salary or her allotted money to do this thing. Instead of using the naval fund or whatever, she did not use the public money, and she used her private money to do the renovation of the garden. but people just twisted it around and say that she did all those things. And one thing I'm sure is because she was a woman and not a real empress. She was only a concubine. So people just had no respect for her, and anything bad, they would put it on her. And you would say she prevented the Guangxu Huangdi from reformation.
Yes,
Guangxu had
yes,
Kang
that's what I
Youwei
was
and
gonna ask.
Yang Qichao. And Kang Youwei, in this book that Zhang Rong wrote, she was from the beginning to the end. Every time she mentioned this person, she would say this crooked Kang Youwei every time, because he is a very, very bad person, and he got no respect from others. But Liang Qichao was a respected person. And the Cixi knew that if she let this emperor to go that way, that is in 100 days, 百年维新, 百日维新, the emperor was swayed by Kang Youwei and others to do this reformation, which would ruin the country. Everything that they suggested was not well thought of, and it could ruin everything, according to this book. And the Cixi had her own reformation in mind, and she launched her reformation to westernize and to do many, many other things. However, she was met with a lot of resistance. Many big people in the court were against her. She was not able to push it through, but she did do a lot of things. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess it was too little, too late, or too.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Too
now
much.
It doesn't matter anymore, but she became the scapegoat in many ways, huh? We say a scapegoat.
Yeah.
Scapegoat, 就是我们叫做替罪羊哈。The person didn't do that thing that's bad, and we just say he did that in order to find somebody to blame.
Yeah. Interesting point of view. Yeah. Very.
Yeah.
Yeah. First time I heard that. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. We were all told that way. Every single one of us.
Right.